Namaste. And I'm happy to be here. I hope you are. If you hear some noise in the background, that is the cosmic Om in the form of generators. We had that storm and we've been without electricity for almost 3 days now. And without running water, electricity. So it's been fun. It's like India, very nice. And so yeah, happy to be here, sitting down, having a chance to sing with you. Pranam Bhavanakumar Kalabana Pavaka Gyanagan Chasur-hridadaga Vasim-ram Sarachabdha Atulita Baladhama Hemashela-badeham Tinurjavarna Krishna Jnani-nama graganyam Sakala-guna-nidhanam Vanaranam-madhisham Raghupati-priya-bhaktam Vatajatam namami Goshpadi-krita-arisham Mashiki-krita-rakshasam Ramayana Mahamalaratnam Vande Nilatmajam Anjananandaram Viram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapisamakshahantaram Vande Lanka Bhankaram Ulangya Sindho Salilam Salilam Yashokavahi Janakatma Jaya Adaitane Dadahalanka Amamitam Pranjali Ranjaneyam Manojavam Marutulya Vegam Jitendriyam Budhimatam Vardishtam Vatatmajam Vanardayutamukyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Anjaneyamati Patalanam Kanchanadrikamaniya Vigraham Parijata Tarumula Vasanam Bhaveyami Pavamananandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Katamastakanjali Vashpavade Paripurna Lochanam Martinamat Rakshasantakam Bolo Bajranga Bale Hanuman Ki Jai. Om Shri Shunya Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Jai Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram Sitaram Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram Sitaram Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Jai Sitaram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Jai Sitaram. Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. 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 Taram, Nitaram, Nitaram, Sitaram, Nitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, Nitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Nitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Well, I needed that. When you sing, we just sang half an hour. That's a good amount of time. And you go through like a million lifetimes in your head. Remembering things, dreaming about things, fighting with yourself over this or that, arguing with other people in your mind. And but we've added something to the moment that wasn't there before. That is a practice. And that's very important, because without adding a way, something to come back to again and again and again, we're just lost in dreamland all day long, all lifelong. So we add this practice, and in this case the practice is the repetition of the names of God. We're doing it out loud. This is chanting. It doesn't have to be done out loud. It can be done quietly, and that's usually called japa, where you either whisper it to yourself or do it mentally. You can count some beads if you have them, just to help you remember. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to count or accumulate mantras and accumulate repetitions in this practice at this time. There are practices. If you've been initiated by a teacher or a guru who's asked you to do a certain amount of repetitions, then you should do that. But I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just telling you what I do. And so when you're chanting, you're using your voice, using your breath. You're hearing what you're chanting with your ears, and if you're in a group, you hear the group, and you hear the chant leader, so to speak. And you might be using your body, you might be moving, you might be clapping. All these things help us pay attention, keep us occupied, keep us paying attention to what we're doing. And so, when we chant, what's called paying attention is listening. So we listen to the sound of the chant. And where does that listening happen? It doesn't happen out here by the harmonium, or it doesn't happen over there, it doesn't happen in the microphone, it happens inside of us, whatever that means. It doesn't happen in your knee or your stomach or your elbow. It happens, what you could say, in your mind or within your awareness. So we're listening. Now, listening is what we can do. However, when you're listening and you actually have practiced a little, maybe, and you've developed the ability to really to listen and to pay attention, something else can happen. And that would be hearing. You actually recognize what you're listening to. and you recognize that you are listening. This is another level of being here. And at that moment, the mantra, the chant, takes on a different, deeper flavor, a different taste, a different presence within you. Now, you can't make this happen. See, that's the trick. That's the catch-22. With our personal will, we can't make the hearing happen. But we can make ourselves listen. So we listen and we listen. We're hearing, but it's more subject-object. You're hearing it, and you're listening. But when hearing happens, it's a different quality. So you might notice that as you go along with these practices. And that could be singing out loud or mentally. It can be the same thing. You can hear even without singing out loud, because you're hearing with your mind. So you're listening with your ears, but you're hearing with your mind. The ears capture the sound, and they send those impulses to the brain, where they are processed by cognition, by awareness. Cognition and awareness are actually two different things, but the hearing happens within us. And it's a way of coming back to oneself, of feeling more at home within oneself, and of planting the seeds of coming back and making it easier to come back again and again as time goes on. Now here's the difference. So I'm about to sing My Foolish Heart. And the words, the first part of it is in English, right? So we listen and we listen to the words, and then the listening, there's understanding of the words. That's in our minds, concepts, mental concepts. And maybe they're inspiring, maybe they're not, maybe they're calming, maybe they're not, maybe they move us in some way. But that's conceptual, okay? It does get our attention. It does catch our attention. But it's still mental activity, so to speak. But then when we go to the chant, Radhe Radhe Govinda, that's not, what does that mean? Yeah, there are meanings for those words, for those names, and storylines associated with them. But the real meaning is in the hearing of those sounds. The hearing of the sounds, the meeting the vibration of those names. And this is not in the head. This is not conceptual. So this is the difference between songs, or even bhajans, devotional songs, which are very inspiring, but the name, the repetition of the name, can take us out of our heads, beyond our heads, deeper than that. So that's something to recognize as we do these practices. You begin to see what's going on in there. My foolish heart, why do you weep? You've thrown yourself away again. Now you cry yourself to sleep. Cry yourself to sleep. My foolish heart, when will you learn? You are the eyes of the world, and there's nowhere else to turn. Nowhere else to turn. Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, my foolish heart. Govinda, 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 my foolish heart, my foolish heart, my foolish heart. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda, Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe. Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda. Radhe. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Govinda Bhaja Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda. Govinda bhaja Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda, Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda, Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Jai Radhe Govinda Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda, Govinda bhaja Govinda. He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga, He Ma Durga. Chandikaya, Om Namah 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 Chandikaya. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shivadatri Swaha Swada Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani. Siddhi Buddhi Pade Devi Bhakti Mukti Pradayani Mantra Murti Mahadevi Mahalakshmi Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Sarvabadha Nirmukto Dhanadhanya Sutanado Manusyo Mat Prasadeno Bhavishyati Sanshaya Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Om Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani Om 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 Narayani Om Narayani Om Narayani 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 Om Om Narayani Om Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Jembe Gari Jeshama Gari. Om Shri Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Jembe Gari Jeshama Gari. Om Shri Matre Namah. Jai Jagarambe. Jai Jagarambe. Hema Durga. Hema Durga. 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 Jai Jagarambe. Okay. A couple of announcements. There won't be a Chai and Chat this Saturday because the Bhakti Fest reunion is going to be this weekend. And I can't find the questions. Here. Okay. Got it. Okay, someone's asking how to choose the right path in our careers when you are alone and so much competition in today's scenario. Then this person asks, did Neem Karoli Baba tell me anything about visit to Shimla and Himachal? No, I never heard much about that. I know he went there and there is a temple in Shimla, a Hanuman temple that apparently he had built. But I don't know about that. And as far as careers, you're asking me? Look what I do. Is this a career or is this just life support? I don't know. All I know is that keep repeating the name. Whether you feel good, whether you feel bad, whether you have devotion, whether you're angry, whether you're sad, whether you're tired, do your practice. Offer it up and pray for help. And listen to your heart as softly and as attentively as you can. And follow your heart as best you can as to what you want to do, what you should do, and what you have to do. They're not always the same thing. So I wish you luck. I am challenged by my mother. I know from the Gita that anger is frustrated desire. Really? I don't know that. But it's very hard not to want to engage emotionally. You mean fight with her? I know she can't though. How to let go? So you're meaning your mother can't actually engage with you emotionally and that you get angry about that? Is that what I'm getting here? How to let go? Well, you see, that's why we do practice. I hate to keep coming back to this point. But the more we practice, the more our worldly lives, our daily lives, will sort themselves out. We will have understandings arising within us as to what's really going on out there. And it will be guided by our own intuition much more strongly by developing that through practice, through consistent practice. You can't just let go. It's like trying to pick yourself up like this, There's no leverage. One must develop that ability to let go. It's a training process. It doesn't come like this. It's a skill that we need to develop over time. And it helps in every part of our lives. It's not, you see, people tend to, this is spiritual, this is not spiritual. I don't know. How did you come up with that? Is there one life over here and one life over there? You're the same person that wakes up in bed and goes to work in the morning and comes back at night and watches TV. Those are not, and then goes and sits and meditates for 10 minutes. Those are not different lives. That's just life. That's us doing it all. And we're carrying our stuff with us wherever we go. So, as we begin to work on ourselves, and we see how hard it is to really act in a good way and to care about people in a real loving manner, and to listen to people, how difficult it is, then we can see other people and we say, wow, if it's that hard for me, it must be that hard for them too. And then we begin to see that their actions, just like our actions, are reactionary, are programmed by the stories we tell ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. And with our parents, we don't know them as people. We know them as our parents. We don't know what happened to them in their lives. We don't know how many times their hearts were broken. We don't know how many times they were hurt and frustrated and rejected. We don't know how they've suffered in life. We only know that they piss us off. But that's a very selfish, self-centered version of the relationship. So when you can see your mother as a human being with the same kind of issues that you have, your whole attitude within may change. And that change in attitude that you have will actually might precipitate a change in her. But there's no guarantee for that. One has to work on themselves. And that can and eventually really will affect other people around you, but you can't do it for that reason. One has to calm one's own heart down. So. What is the correct way of meditation? I really want to merge in it. There are many different types of meditation. There are many different types of practices. They all seem to include the idea of developing a little bit of concentration power, the ability to pay attention, which means letting go of thoughts, emotions, and whatever input is coming from the outside. So any practice you do that allows you to let go and isn't manipulative of your emotions, like you say you want to merge in it. So that means you want to disappear into the practice, right? You want to merge with the practice. You want to become something else, in a way, maybe. But you can't. You can't be something else, nor can you be anywhere else other than where you are at any time. So one must begin to develop the ability to allow oneself to be here now. You might have heard that phrase before. You can't just push a button and make it happen. I remember sitting with Maharaji, my guru, and I almost started laughing out loud. Because as I was sitting there, I saw myself sitting there, and I saw that I wanted to disappear. That my idea of enlightenment was when I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I'd be gone, merged, gone, disappeared. And I laughed because it's exactly the opposite. There is no place you will ever go where you will not be. There is no time when you will not be right here where you are, right now. But our thoughts, emotions, and stuff pulls us away from ourselves and pulls us out of the here and now, into the past, into the future, into thinking about now instead of being here. So we need to find a practice that helps us sit more deeply inside of our own hearts. So There's so many different techniques you can do. Just experiment and see what works, what you like to try. But don't expect, it's not like taking a drug and all of a sudden you have a great experience. Besides, you're going to come down from that anyway and be tired, and maybe you tripped and fell yourself. Who knows? This is not like that. This is the real thing. This is real life, hopefully, someday. We need to come home to ourselves and sit more deeply in our own being, which is where we really are. But our stuff pulls us away. So, I have a Chinese friend who said it's appropriation for me to read books about Buddhism because I'm a Western white woman. You know, Buddha was Indian, so it might be appropriation for this Chinese guy to have anything to do with the Buddhism, because they took it from India, and I don't think they paid anybody. You know, it's exactly the opposite. Buddhism, Hinduism, Sufism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all these religions were brought here on earth for our sake, to free us from suffering, to help us find out who we truly are. You could say to find God, if you like that way of looking at it, or you could say to find emptiness inside, the true nature of reality. You could call it anything you want. But that's why these great beings that were the impetus for these religions in the first place, why they opened their mouths to help people. So this thing about cultural appropriation, at least in terms of spiritual practice, I absolutely believe that is the wrong way to think about things. The Buddha opened his mouth for the sake of people who were suffering. Krishna, Rama, these great beings came here on earth to relieve us of suffering. And in those days, there wasn't an America. There was like, we're talking, who knows, 5,000 years ago. There was very few developed cultures. Maybe. I don't know, actually. So maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't know that. But whatever it is, these practices were brought to this world for our sake, for the sake of us sentient beings, and animals, and every being that has sensation and sentience, awareness. They were brought here for us, to help us. So, everybody's looking for trouble and fights these days. It's really something. So, you asked me, that's what I had to say. I wouldn't worry about it. And if that's what your Chinese friend says, tell him that, China appropriated Buddhism too, and so he shouldn't be doing that either. My partner doesn't practice and share a similar spiritual path as me, and I'm finding it hard to connect spiritually. What to do? I don't know what you mean by hard to connect spiritually to your partner, I guess, huh? What do you mean spiritually? What's in your head? What are you thinking about? That there's spiritual and not spiritual? That's just life. Get over it. If you love your partner, the love is spiritual. If you share things with your partner, what is spiritual? What does that even mean to you? What does that even mean to anybody? Be a kind person, be a caring person, be a good human being. That's spiritual. Anything else, who knows what it is. You can't be kind to your partner because he or she doesn't follow the same path as you, or doesn't believe there's a God or not God. You don't know if there's a God. But don't pretend. So, you be real as a human being for yourself, and treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And there will be no problems anywhere. Sometimes I lose myself so deeply in chanting the names that I begin to lose the words. As the names refer to things beyond thought and language, is getting the words right important? It's hard for me to know exactly what you're talking about. It depends on what's really going on in there. If you're getting lost or immersed in a kind of a particular type of feeling and you're losing awareness, losing if you're losing awareness, I would say that's not where you want to go. You want to try to keep awareness, not willfully hold on to the names, but if you can let go, you can let go. The time will come when there won't be any issue about letting go because there will be nobody to let go. So it sounds to me that be with the experience, but only you know from within whether, or maybe you don't know, but just be with the experience. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's not a test. Nobody's grading you. Whatever's going on, see where it takes you. See how it goes and see how you feel about it. Many types of experiences will come to us through meditation and through chanting. I don't think we need to be judging them all. Be with them. You might see them come, you might see them go. You just do the best you can to be with whatever's happening and not fall asleep into something and lose awareness. And then you'll be coming back from somewhere. That's not necessarily the direction you want to go. I meditate and for some reason I am feeling disconnected. Or is it because I'm more connected with the divine that I'm having trouble relating to others? I don't think so. You're not actually disconnected. I think you're just getting lost in thoughts. And you don't have a concentration, an ability to really pay attention yet. See, when you start to quiet down, you see for the first time how much stuff is in your head. And it does feel like you're disconnected from everything. You're just lost in all this stuff. That's why you have to keep coming back to the name. Keep repeating, or the breath, or whatever technique you're doing. The whole idea is not about what you feel, really. You don't need to be evaluating it all the time. Do your practice, live your life. You don't have to grade yourself every time you sit down and cross your legs. It's not necessary. So I wouldn't worry about it. I don't really want to get into philosophy because I don't know very much, but if every action of ours is driven by God, why should any action be considered evil? I don't know where you got that line that everything is driven by God. The way we usually talk about it is there's ultimate reality and then there's relative reality. Ultimate reality is God, you could say. And there's relative reality, which is egocentric living, which is where we are. In relative reality, the ego has many choices to make, and based on those choices, karma is created. In ultimate reality, everything is everything, and there's no one home to make any choices. It's all like everything is held within this huge open space of the heart, of the mind. But in relative reality, you have to stop at the red light and go at the green. Ultimate reality, there's no one born, no one dies, so what does it matter? There's no red, no green. There are rules in relative reality, and there are karmas created and lived through. So I don't know where you got that idea. You know, some people may talk like that, and maybe they have a way of explaining it that's meaningful. But I don't think every action is driven by God. We are desired beings. It's our desires that drive our actions. We are also God within us, but it's a different level of being that we're not necessarily in touch with. So don't blame shit on God. You know, when you run a red light and get hit by a car, God didn't do that. That was your karmas created that and did that. When Ram Dass had the stroke, I don't know that you all know, but he had a catastrophic stroke and he almost died. And he said, at first he felt that Maharaji had stroked him, had given him the stroke. And he really felt like that. He thought that way for some time. And then at some point he went back to India for the first and last time in the wheelchair. And when he met Siddhi Ma, who was Maharaji's great disciple, Ma said to him, Ram Dass, Maharaji did not give you the stroke. The stroke was your karmas. What Maharaji gives you is the strength to overcome the negative aspects of that experience and grow from it. A very different understanding. And Ram Dass really did grow from it, and he really said to me many times that the stroke saved his life and saved his heart, because he had to overcome pride and helplessness and anger and fear, all these things, and he had to work very hard to do that, and he did. So I don't say every action is driven by God. That doesn't make sense to me. I wonder how it was being loved by Maharaji. Is it possible for us to feel the same when he is not in this world physically? You know, when Maharaji left the body, telegrams went out to everyone. You know, in those days there was no phones, no email. So we received a telegram from one of the people that we sent notification to, and he said, I thought Maharaji left his body a long time ago. And yes, of course it's possible to feel the love. It's not only possible, it's inevitable, because that's who we are. We are that love. We are that love. And we're just too busy to pay attention. So we get lost in our stuff, and we don't feel who we really are. We don't feel what's underneath that stuff, what's all around that stuff. We don't feel what that stuff is held within. It's all held within love. And they always say about saints that they're more, when they leave the body, they're actually much more available, much more powerful, because they don't have to maintain that hunk of flesh, of pus and blood and flesh and slime and saliva and crap. They're free of that. So they're they're already everywhere, but they're much more available, they say. But because we are attached to our bodies, we find it difficult to connect with presence, with being, if it's not in a body that we can touch or talk to or be petted on the head by. That's all emotional stuff, and sooner or later you have to get over it. Or not. You don't have to, but you might want to. And the way to do that is practice. Every day, practice. I have a friend who's a Lama, a Westerner, and he said, if we allow our egos to dictate to us whether we feel like doing practice or not, how are we ever going to get anywhere? The ego will never surrender anything. It will never surrender to giving itself up. It only creates obstacles for us. So if we allow our moods and our busyness and our desires and to tell us when we can find some time to practice, how are we going to find what we want? We have to activate our will and recognize how important it is to overcome the things that are causing us suffering, and to help everyone who's suffering in the world, and to try to help everyone to be happier and to be able to be successful in their lives. So that brings us to working in the world in social action and working with other people. You have to have the strength to do that. And if we let our egos and our emotions dictate to us when we can practice or not practice, how is that going to be, how are we going to ever get anywhere? So, is it normal to cry when chanting? No, you're very abnormal. And so am I. I cry all the time. What can you do when you walk into the room of love? You just lose it. They're not tears of sadness. They're just your heart feeling touched. So, of course, it's wonderful. It's another one of those wonderful experiences. How do you gain self-worth and courage to take risks and make decisions in life? I'm very tired of being a spiritual, wishy-washy, non-committal person. Then commit. Take a vow to yourself. I know some friends of mine have taken vows to themselves that no matter what's going on, no matter how tired they are, no matter how late it is, they will not lay down to sleep unless they have meditated for X amount of time. I once took a vow to myself that I would, something like that. There were times I'd been traveling all day. I get to my hotel room, unpack, it's like 2 in the morning. I have to get up early. Sometimes I had to stand on one leg and sing the Chalisa, because if I had stood on 2 legs, I would have fallen asleep. You have to activate your will. Nobody can do it for you. You have to do it. The one time I was in the jungle in India with a very, very, very old yogi. He was 163 years old, and that was over 20 years ago. He's still alive, I think. And I was sitting with him, hanging out. We just, nothing was happening. Everybody's just sitting around, hanging out. All of a sudden, he looked at me. He goes, He says, you have to develop Ichcha Shakti. Ichcha Shakti means willpower. Ichcha is desire, Shakti is power. Willpower is the power, the strength to get what you want. So he looked at me, he said that, and I remember my first thought was like, what does he mean? What's he talking about? And he saw my thought. He heard my thought. So he did something, and he showed me inside of me what he was seeing. And I went, oh. It was a shock, because I saw that I was putting chains around my own legs, that I was not going after the very things I said I wanted in life. I was not activated. And I saw that there's only one life here, my life. And I wasn't using my will. How was I thinking, I was going to get any kind of spiritual development? Because if I didn't use my will during the day in regular life, where do you think it's going to show up when I sit down? There's not two lives, there's just your life. So it was really a shock to me, and I saw that I need to get my shit together. Why am I doing this to myself? I really didn't have an answer, but seeing it so clearly was powerful, and it really changed me. It really changed me. And ultimately, I think it really was a very big step in moving me towards being able to chant with people, to start chanting with people. Because it happened maybe some years before I started chanting, maybe 5 years. But it led to some big changes along the way. You have to do it. You just have to do it. You don't do it, nothing's going to happen. That's the deal. I think that's it for questions. I want to sing a little bit more. Did I make the announcements? Yeah, I did. So please, once again, don't forget us if you can afford to make some donation. We appreciate it very much. If you can't afford, no problema. But without being able to tour, life is looking very different. So. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Jamanu Mukuru Sudhari Varano Raghuvara Dimala Jasu Chodayaku Palachari Buddhihin Tanu Janike Sumiron Pavana Kumar Siaram Balabuddhi Vidya Dehu Mohin Hardahu Kalesa Bikara Siyavara Ramachandra Bhajaye Sharanam. Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar, Jai Kapasati Loka Ujjwala, Ramaduta Tulita Baladham, Anjani Put Pavana Sutana, Mahavira Bikram Bajrangi, Kumati Nirvara Sumati Kesan, Kanchana Varan Raja Subesa, Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa, Hatta Bajra Ora Dvaja Biraja, Kande Munja Chane Ursaja, Shankara Suvarna Kesari Nanda, Teja Pratapa Mahajagaban, Vidyavan Guni Ati Chatur Ramakaja Karimbe Koatu, Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Korasiya, Rama Lakana Sita Manabasi, Sukshma Rupa Dharisya Hindekala, Vikata Rupa Dharilanka Jara, Hima Rupa Dhari Asura Sanhare, Ramachandra Ke Kaja Sanvar, Aya Sanjiva Kanajiyaya, Shri Raghuvir Harshiralai, Raghupati Kinhi Hotparai, Tumma Mama Priya Bharatai Samavai, Sahasabadan Tumaro Jasagav, Asakahi Shripati Kantalaga, Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa, Arada Sharada Saita Ahisa, Yamakuber Tigapala Jahante, Kabiko Bida Kaisake Kahante, Maupakar Iva Inkina, Rama Melaya Raja Padadin, Tumaro Mantra Bibhishanaman, Lankeshwara Bhai Sabadagajan, Yuga Sahasra Jojana Paraban, Ilyota Madura Palajan, Prabhu Mudrika Mele Mukamahi, Chaladhilangi Gaye Achara Janai, Durgama Kaja Chagata Kejete, Sugama Anugratumarete, Amaduvare, Marakavare, Otana Agya, Vinupeza, Sab Sukala hai tumhari sharan, Tumhara chakka kahu ko dharan, Apana teja samaro ape, Tinon lokahan katen kampe, Bhut pisashan kat nahi aave, Mahavir Chabanam Sunave, Nase Roga Hare Sabapira, Japata nirantara Hanumata bir Sankatate Hanuman Churave Manakrama Bachana Dhana Jola Sabapara Rama Tapasvi Raja Tina ke kaj sakal tum saja Or manorat jo koe lave Sove amit jivan palapa Charon yuga paratap tumara Hai parasit jagat ujiyara Sadhu santa ke marakovare Asurane kantana ramdula Ashtasiddhi no nidhi ke data Asavaradina Janki mata Ramarasaya Tumare pasa Sadaro Raghupati ke dasa Tumare bhajana Rama ko pave Janama janama ke dukha bisarave Antakala raghubara pura jai Jahan janma hare bhakta kahai Or devata chaitana darai Hanumata se saro sukha kare Sankata kate mite sab pira Jo sumere Hanumata balabir Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Kripa karo Gurudev kinai Jo satabar pata kara kove Chutta hi bani mahasukha hoy Oya pare Hanuman Chalisa Oya siddhis saki garisa Tulasidas sada hari chera Ki nath hridaya mahadev Pavanatanaya sankata harana Mangalamurti rup siyaram Rama Lakshmana Sita Sahita Hridaya Basau Surabhupa Syavara Ramachandra Padaje Sharanam Mangalamurti Martanandan Sakala Amangalamula Nikanda Mangalamurti Martanandan Sakala Amangalamula Nikanda Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Bolo Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman ki. Ram Lakshman Janaki. Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman ki. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman ki. Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman ki. Ram Lakshman. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. If we know anything about a path at all, if we know that there might be a way to live in this world in a good way, with an open heart and without fear, it's only because of the great beings who have gone before us. Out of their love, out of their kindness, they left some footprints for us to follow. So in the same way that they wish for us, in the same way that they wish for us, we wish that all beings everywhere, all of us, be safe, be happy, have good health, and enough to eat. And may we all live in peace and that ease of heart with whatever comes to us in life. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Take good care of yourselves. Be safe, be healthy. And hope to see you soon, next week. Namaste.